Hello, this is Joe Pearson. This is a request to the City Council to approve the off-site improvement agreement between the City of Oxnard and the Oxnard Union High School District for construction of the public improvements associated with the construction of the Del Sol High School located near the northeast corner of Rose Avenue in Camino del Sol. This agreement has been negotiated between the city and the district for the benefit of both parties to establish the city's on-site and off-site improvement conditions and requirements for the district's Del Sol High School project, as well as to specify the timing of the construction of these improvements. The city generally has authority over components associated with the city's infrastructure and improvements in the right-of-way. On-site improvements, such as the facilities and structures, are under the authority of the district and the state. As a brief overview of the overall project, the district is developing a new high school on an approximately 52-acre site located near the northeast corner of Rose and Camino del Sol, on the property commonly known as the Mulhart property. The development will consist of approximately 280,000 square feet of buildings and associated facilities, such as playfields and a pool, as well as public improvements to the roadways and utilities impacted by the school development. As identified in the conditions, these improvements generally consist of new roadways, road widenings, intersection improvements, streetscape improvements, and improvements to bike infrastructure. The next few slides highlight some of the key components that will be occurring. As noted in the staff report, the district had submitted plans for the first round of plan check, and these plans are currently under review, so the final details may change as we move through the review process. The first improvement is the widening of Rose from the south property line of Del Sol Park to Cesar Chavez Drive. The widening will accommodate 3 travel lanes in each direction, as well as an 8-foot bike lane. The next improvement is the widening of Camino del Sol to accommodate intersection improvements and the school entrance. The widening would generally run from just west of Rose Avenue to the eastern property line of the school site. The width will vary as shown in the draft road sections, but will be designed to accommodate travel lanes and bike lanes, including providing a safer transition into the Rose and Camino del Sol intersection for cyclists. The next improvements to the intersections are to accommodate the road widenings and/or new roadways. As identified in the conditions, the improvements to the intersection of Camino del Sol and Colonia will be made if they are warranted as determined by the city. As previously noted, the improvements include the widening of Rose Avenue adjacent to Del Sol Park. This widening will allow for the provision of an 8-foot bike lane as called for in the city's bicycle and pedestrian facilities master plan. As you can see from the excerpt from the proposed and existing bike paths map, this will help fill a portion of the missing section between Camino del Sol and 5th Street. There would be 2 new roadways or road extensions as part of the improvements. The first is the extension of Central Drive along the north property line of the school to the Camino de la Luna and Rose intersection. The second is a new public road along the school's eastern property line that will connect Central Drive to Camino del Sol. Secondary access to the school will be provided off of this road. The primary entrance is off of Camino del Sol. The agreement covers a variety of items, but some of the key items include the term, which states that the district shall complete the improvements before occupancy of the high school by students. However, construction of the project, including the high school, may proceed simultaneous with the construction of the improvements. Final connections to the city water, sewer, and storm drain system shall be granted by the city upon the city's acceptance of the improvements. The agreement also covers securities and bonds, and as required by the agreement, the district shall also submit a performance bond in the amount equal to 100% of the estimated cost of the improvements and a available materials bond of at least 50% of the estimated cost of the improvements. These bonds shall be provided prior to the start of any public and utility improvements or vertical construction. The agreement also touches on the repair of construction defects and deficiencies. The district shall, for a 10-year period following acceptance of the improvements by the city, promptly repair or reconstruct any construction defects or deficiencies in any portion of the improvements that the community development director determines in his or her sole discretion to be unsatisfactory. Continuing with the agreement, changes required to improvements. No changes or alterations may be made in the construction of the improvements without prior approval of the director in writing, and the district must provide a security for 100% of the estimated costs of the improvements as changed or altered. The agreement also covers or requires a reimbursement agreement. The city and the district shall, to the extent the improvements are determined by the director to be necessitated not only by the project or the school, but also by the development of the remaining Mulhart property parcels, enter into a reimbursement agreement for a period not to exceed 10 years for the reimbursement by the developers of the remaining Mulhart property parcels of a fair share prorated portion of the mutually beneficial improvements. With regard to environmental review, the district is the lead agency for the Del Sol High School project, which means it is the public agency which has the principal responsibility for carrying out or approving a project which may have a significant effect upon the environment. The City of Oxnard is a responsible agency, which means a public agency other than the lead agency, which has a responsibility for carrying out or approving a project. As the lead agency, the district prepared and certified the Del Sol High School project environmental impact report and mitigations. The potential environmental impact associated with the Del Sol High School project and public improvements were analyzed under the Del Sol High School project EIR. As such, the improvements will not create any new significant impacts or substantially alter or increase the severity of any of the significant impacts identified in the EIR. Therefore, staff recommends that City Council find that the agreement and incorporated improvement conditions are consistent with the analysis and mitigations approved for the EIR, and no further environmental documentation is required. Staff recommends that the City Council finds that the project is not subject to additional environmental review pursuant to the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act, and approve the offsite improvement agreement between the City of Oxnard and the Oxnard Union High School District for public improvements associated with the construction of the Del Sol High School.